Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagati Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagati Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for joining today. We wanted to continue a little bit where we left last week. So far we've gone through what is Sanatan Dharma, the different scriptures, the vastness of Vedic knowledge, then what the Vedic conception of time is, which is incredibly beyond our imagination. And then we talked about the Supreme Lord, who we are in connection with the Lord, how we are affected by karma reincarnation. We live in this world, which is governed by the three modes of material nature. And we can also establish where we are in those three modes, within those three modes. We talked about different aspects of God, and that led on to the yoga systems. Yoga systems include Bhakti Yoga, which is what we focused on because that's the most effective and easiest process to follow in Kali Yuga. And we talked about temple etiquette and arti, the reasons for doing arti. And last week we covered festivals, but not in particular detail. So this week we're actually going to talk about festivals in some detail, but we talked mainly about Ekadasi and the benefits of doing Ekadasi from a spiritual point of view, as well as from the material point of view of our own body. And we'll cover that again a little bit today, because one of the festivals is a very important Ekadasi that will take place in about 2 or 3 months' time. So today, festivals. These festivals are principally to celebrate the different appearance days, either of the Lord, his avatars, or his devotees. And we talked last week about Sri Krishna Janmashtami, very important festival in the Vaishnava calendar. Takes place around about August time. And Lord Krishna appeared at midnight, which is interesting, middle of the night in a prison. So effectively, he gave us a message that we are living in a prison and we're in darkness. So he's come to deliver us from this. He himself has come in the middle of the night, in the middle of darkness. He himself has come in the prison. So he's giving us hope that he is with us. He understands our situation, and he wants us to become free of this world at some point. So generally devotees try to fast until midnight and thereafter take some fasting food, which is Ekadasi food, no grains, no beans. Now, not everybody can fast till midnight. So you can, of course, have some drinks and some fruits. And if you really need some heavy food, then it's better to eat and remember the Lord than not eat and forget the Lord. Yeah. But even if somebody wants other than fasting food, it's still better to eat if it helps one remember the Lord. It's not an excuse not to do tapasya. This is a very little tapasya to do. Fasting is not a very difficult thing to do. We eat so much on a daily basis. So sometimes it's good to give our stomach a break. And that's what Ekadasi actually does. It cleanses the body. It rejuvenates the body. Fasting on Ekadasi. On this festival day, often you will have participated in the swinging of Laddu Gopal, Bal Gopal. So he's placed on a very beautiful julan, which is decorated nicely, and then the swinging of that julan takes place. So usually you go to a temple Or even at home, if you have Bal Gopal, if you have a little swing, you can place him on the swing and swing him all day. That day, a lot of bhajans are done. Kirtan of the Lord, glorification of Krishna. Try to read about Krishna at that time, especially to please him, to understand a little bit more who he is, how sweet he is, how wonderful he is. And also, usually, Lord is bathed, either the Bal Gopal form or Radha Krishna, but bathing takes place. Shaligram. So in this way, this festival is celebrated. There are other things as well. A lot of devotees cook a lot because in the temple, there are going to be many guests who will come. And it's always wonderful to feed the guests, feed the devotees. So this is it's an extremely joyful festival. I think all of the festivals that we celebrate in Sanatan Dharma are just full of nectar, full of enjoyment, full of, you can experience the bliss of spiritual life. And that's the way it's meant to be, because the Lord is by nature joyful. He's Satchid Ananda. So he wants us to also be joyful, and naturally we are also joyful, but at the moment we're trapped in this body. And generally speaking, this world is full of miseries. So that's covered Shri Krishna Janmashtami. Following on, about 8 days afterwards, is it? No, 2 weeks. 2 weeks afterwards is Radhastami. She's also born on Astami. Janmastami, Radhastami. This is the birth of Radharani, who appears at midday. She's very kind. Don't have to fast very long for her appearance. Now, who is Radharani? The eternal consort of the Lord. She's the Ladini, we call it Ladini Shakti. She's like the first manifestation from the Lord. But actually, she's not different from the Lord either. So when we go to schools, we explain that in Sanatan Dharma, God isn't just male, God is female as well. And the female aspect is Srimati Radharani or Sita Devi or Lakshmi Devi. So, and the power of the female aspect of God is as much as the male aspect, if not more. She controls actually the male aspect in many, many ways because of the intense love that she has for the Supreme Lord. So the fasting is generally till midday, and then we honor a feast in her on this wonderful occasion. And sometimes in the last arati that is done in the temples, Radharani's feet are shown. These are very rarely shown. On a daily basis, you never actually see the feet of Srimati Radharani. They're always covered. But there are maybe 1 or 2 occasions in the year when we have darshan, we have sight of her lotus feet. And these feet are very important. Again, celebrated by bhajans. We sing Radharani's bhajans, kirtans. What's the difference between kirtan and bhajan? Kirtan is usually repeating one mantra over and over again. And bhajans are different glorificational songs, devotional songs, again, glorifying the Lord or Radharani. So that's Radhastami. Again, usually what happens is her dress will be made full of flowers. It'll be a flower dress. It's just another very, very joyful occasion. One of the most exquisite festivals in Sanatan Dharma is the festival of Radhastami. So 5 days around Diwali. So Diwali, before Diwali is the 13th day is Dhanteras. And Dhanteras has a couple of aspects to it. Dhanteras, Dhanvantari is the Lord of medicine. He appears at that time together with Lakshmi Devi as well, during the churning of the ocean. I'm not sure if devotees know this pastime, but long time back, the ocean was churned. At that time, Dhanvantari appeared. Many people also at this time perhaps do the books of accounts and offer those books of accounts to the Lord. Dhan means wealth. So sometimes
end of the accounting.
It's end of the accounting year, yeah. So sometimes devotees will buy utensils and jewelry for good luck on this day. And diyas are lit in honor of Dhanvantari and Lakshmi Devi. Generally speaking, in the Vaishnava tradition, Dhanteras is actually the celebration of Dhanvantari, the god of medicine. Because what is our wealth? It's our health. If our health suffers or we don't look after it, no matter how much wealth we have, we won't enjoy it. Not that we want to enjoy the wealth anyway, but we won't be able to use the wealth in the service of the Lord in such an effective way if we're not so healthy. There's a saying, isn't there? We lose our health to gain wealth, and then we lose our wealth to gain health. So the 14th day, so Diwali is on the 15th day, which is Purnima.
No, Amavasya.
Amavasya, sorry, Amavasya. That's right, thank you. So Narak Chaturdasi, this time Kali Mata killed Narak Asura, and at this time Krishna, Yamraj, Kali Mata and Hanuman are worshipped in order to remove sin. Naturally, when we live in this world, there's just, unfortunately, it's one of those things we just naturally commit sin. Even while we're breathing, we may be breathing in living entities, thereby depriving them of their bodies. Or if you're walking, you might be crushing ants. And so even if we try not to sin in this world, there's a natural inclination to sin. So these times we take shelter, especially on these occasions of the Lord, and pray, please forgive us for sins that we've committed. Then, of course, Diwali, everybody will have a very good idea of what this is, a wonderful festival. And we spend a whole of autumn term going to schools, talking about Diwali to wonderful children and doing Diwali dramas. It's the return of Sita, Ram and Lakshman back to Ayodhya after spending 14 years in the jungle. And at that time it was Amavasya, no moon was in the sky. And the people who lived in that land of Ayodhya, they lit lots of diyas so that Lord Ram can find way back to Ayodhya. And that is the celebration of Diwali. So that's why we light lamps and offer lamps to the Lord. At that time, on that day also Lakshmi Puja is done by many Vaishnava families. Families also visit the temple and they visit each other. It's a very, again, a fantastically joyful occasion. And of course, the hospitals are all put on alert because we eat lots of sweets, and the diabetic clinics are aware of all this. Only joking, of course. So this time we feed each other, we feast, and presents are given, and it's just such a joyful occasion. Sometimes fireworks are done, rangolis are made outside of our homes. The reason for rangolis is basically we want to beautify everything because we want to welcome Lord Rama into our homes and into our hearts. So homes are cleaned, sometimes painted. The mood is that my Lord is coming. Every festival is again a time where we can recommit to the Lord. We rejuvenate ourselves and earnestly pray to the Lord to become better at remembering him and becoming better in our spiritual quest. That's the whole idea of these festival days. So then the fourth day of the Diwali period, is it the fourth, right? Fourth, yeah. So this is Govardhana Puja. And Govardhana Puja is one of the most interesting festivals. It's the first day of Ram being king. That's right, because the day after he came back, he was made king. It's the day when the Brijabasis worshipped Govardhan instead of Krishna. Krishna persuaded them. Why are you worshipping Indra? Indra is not so smart. He puts rain on the ocean. Does the ocean need water? So that shows, Krishna says to his people that, you know, rain will come anyway. But what you should do is actually, instead of thanking Indra and worshipping Indra, you should worship Govardhan, worship the cows. Govardhan is a hill in the Vrajabhumi area near Bantam, in a very special place. We should put some photos in here. Anyway, so what happened? Krishna, he inspired the people who live in that land, Vrajabasis they're called, Krishna's family, in fact, to make lots of food for Govardhan. And they took this uncut offerings to Govardhan. And at that time, Govardhan manifested himself as Krishna, or Krishna manifested himself as Govardhan, and he ate everything. And then the rains came from Indra because he became upset, and he sent his most aggressive rain clouds to destroy that land. At that time, Krishna lifted Govardhan hill with his left hand, little finger, for 7 days, 7 nights, giving shelter to all of the residents of that land and the cows, everybody actually. So that festival is celebrated on Govardhana Puja. What happens? We make a hill. It can be made from halwa, or it can be made from some stones. That hill represents Govardhan. And we put around Govardhan, there's so many wonderful holy places. So we try to identify those holy places and we remember those holy places. And we do parikram of Govardhan. We walk around Govardhan, like we do parikram of Tulsi Devi or the temple. So we walk around Govardhan. This walk, if you do it actually in Govardhan, it's about 21 kilometers. It takes quite a few hours. And we try to do it barefoot, and haven't done it for a few years. But when we used to do it, it's one of the most amazing days of our lives, because we walk around this wonderful Govardhan hill, and the stones are known as Giriraj, and Giriraj is worshipped on the altar as Krishna himself, because that's Govardhan, who is Krishna himself. So this festival, we cook lots, we offer it to Govardhan, and then of course we take that, we honor the prasad. So this is, again, a very, very joyful, wonderful festival. And then the final day is Bhai Dooj, which is the last day of the 5-day Diwali celebrations. It celebrates the bond between brother and sister. And specifically, there's a relationship between Yamuna and Yamraj, who are brother and sister, which is remembered at this time. Brothers visit the house of the sisters, and it's very similar to Raksha Bandhan. So those are the 5 days of Diwali. Then after, these are all in sequential order. So then we have the festival of Tulsi Viva. So after, that's right, after Diwali, this is during the time of the month of Damodar, Kartik Mas, you will have heard of. 2 weeks after Diwali, yeah. It's the wedding of Tulsi and Shaligram. Now this is, again, weddings are always great fun. And it's an annual event. And actually, who is Shaligram? I can just show you. Everybody will know Tulsi, but not everybody will know Shaligram. So it's just worth doing a very quick tour of our temple here. And I'll show you. This is Shalavra Shiva. He's from the Gandaki river in Nepal, and he's none different from Vishnu himself. He's normally when you do go to the temple, you will see the deities, Radha Krishna or Sitaram, and they will have done the prana pratishtha to give the life to the deity, because the deity is made of different stones or metals. So that prana pratishtha celebration or ceremony brings the life into the deity. But for Shaligram, no need for prana pratishtha, because this is directly Lord Vishnu himself. So that's Shaligram. Let me just take the spotlight off. Okay. So the wedding takes place, and this is, you can have the full works in terms of the wedding ceremony with the fire yagya and the bride and groom walking around the mandap, and then you have the steps leading towards the altar. We do the whole thing, and it's again a very, very joyful festival. Tulsi is very, very close to Vishnu, and it's said that if you're offering something to Vishnu and it has a Tulsi leaf, that food has full Tulsi leaf on it, he will definitely accept that offering. And sometimes Tulsi is not so easily available, perhaps in this country because of the weather. So even if you just think of Tulsi, she will appear. And if you just say to her, please come on to this offering so that the Lord will accept this, she will do that. Anything else about Tulsi wedding? Okay. Gita Jayanti falls around about the time of December, end of December. This is the day when Lord Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita. That's right. Bhagavad Gita, okay, to Arjun before the battle of Mahabharata in Kurukshetra. It also falls on the day of Mokshada Ekadasi. So is fasting according to Ekadasi rules. And what we do on this day, we would recite the whole of the Bhagavad Gita, either in Sanskrit or in English. I can't remember what we did this year. I think we did both, yeah. So it's again trying to understand, get some knowledge about the Bhagavad Gita. Very good day to do that, because that day was when Lord Krishna spoke this extraordinary scripture to Arjun for us. Then round about February time is the celebration of Maha Shivratri. And many things happen on Maha Shivratri. It's a day when Lord Shiva and Parvati Devi got married. Some say it's also the day that Lord Shiva himself appears. In this world. Abhishek is done of Shivling. And of course, Lord Shiva is also glorified. His wonderful pastimes, his compassionate nature. The beauty of Lord Shiva is anybody who's completely rejected by everybody, he will give them shelter. He gives shelter to everyone. There's nobody he will not take care of. So it's a very glorious personality. Again, fasting can be done on this day by taking Ekadashi food. The Shaivites will celebrate it perhaps a little differently. We're not too familiar with their traditions. The Vaishnavas celebrate Shivratri as well, generally by fasting, taking Ekadashi food. And sometimes throughout the night, bhajans are done, Shivratri. So it's the night of Lord Shiva. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So following Shivratri in the time of March, we just had a celebration of Holi. Holi is, again, what a fantastic festival. It's a festival when we, Holika is a is this niece, auntie of Prahlad, who tried to kill Prahlad by inspiring her brother Hiranyakashipu to build the fire, and she sat in the fire being immune from being burnt, because that was the boon that she received from Lord Brahma. But because she was misusing that boon and trying to kill a pure devotee of the Lord, she was the one who got burnt. So this day we build a bonfire with old wood and fire, worship the fire with coconuts to signify getting rid of the bad things, the crazy things in our life, mainly our attitude, mainly our ego, yeah, our bad habits. We try to put those bad habits into the fire, get rid of them, and try to get good habits. So Holi, although great fun, there's a huge significant meaning behind that, very powerful meaning. We also at that time play with colors, and this is why it's such a fascinating festival. I think in a temple in America, in Utah, they spend a whole weekend, at least 10,000 people together playing Holi, mainly Americans. And we do this in schools. We've been going around assemblies, and we get the teachers, put it on the teachers, and then a few of the schools invite the children to come up, some of the children, and they play Holi, and it just completely transforms the atmosphere. Yeah, our festivals are just phenomenal.
And in Barsana, the Holi is celebrated actually for a whole week. And there's the story that, it was Holi was actually celebrated between Krishna and the gopis. So that's where it originates, and they throw colors for a whole week at each other in Barsana. There's also there's a Latmar Holi where the gopis actually have a stick and they beat the men with them.
It's also the day when we celebrate Gaur Purnima. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Yuga avatar for this age, appeared in order to give us the mantras for this age, which, and according to the scriptures in Kali Yuga, the only way of attaining spiritual world is by chanting mantras, because everything else is just too hard. So simply by chanting the holy names of the Lord, we can actually attain moksha, or liberation, go back home, back to Godhead. So on this day, this is mainly for the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Gaudiya is those who are part of the tradition of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we fast till moonrise, and then we again eat Ekadasi food. Ekadasi food is one of the most delicious foods in the world. Whole day is spent glorifying Chaitanya, and we do Abhishek of Lord Chaitanya. It's just one of the most incredible days. It's Holi and Gaur Purnima. Then we celebrate Ram Navami. We just had it last weekend on Sunday, which was extraordinary. Probably our best festival we've ever celebrated. It worked out so well. Lord Ramachandra appears at noon, and we fast till noon, then observe Ekadasi food. We glorify Lord Ram, Sita, do Julan of Sita and Ram. And shortly, there will also be, in 2 weeks' time, Sita Devi's appearance. We'll do very, very similar festival. And then yesterday was Hanuman Jayanti. And like in Crowley temple, they did 108 Hanuman Chalisas. And it's a very auspicious day. It's the day when Hanuman appears. and he bestows his mercy on those who remember Lord Ramachandra, because he remembers Lord Ramachandra a lot. Then we follow that with Ganesh Chaturthi, appearance of Lord Ganesh. It's a 10-day festival with installation of a murti of Ganesh on the first day, and then on the final day, the murti is submerged into the ocean, which is really unusual practice. What's that?
Modaks
are offered to Ganesh.
Sweets, his special
And
sweets.
stotras as chanted, artis are performed every day. The reason why the murti is then submerged into the ocean is in order to look after the deity, it takes some doing. You can't just do it according to your own whim. There are scriptures which describe how deities are to be worshipped, because they're no different from the Lord themselves. So, okay, and I think we're coming to an end. Okay, we need to finish. So, Vyas Puja, this is Guru Purnima, also known as Guru Purnima. It's the birth of Vyasdev. It's the day when we celebrate the Vyasdev himself, but also our own Guru. We would celebrate his, we would glorify him. And that's the way of celebration. It also marks the first day of the 4-month Chaturmasya Vrat. It's 4 months, especially in Bharat, it's a rainy season. Yeah. And each month there's different fasts that one does. First month is the fasting from milk.
Spinach.
Or is it spinach? Spinach. And then milk, yogurt, and fine earth dal. Very easy to do. Mind you, there is a harder procedure, but we don't follow that. And then we're just going to talk very briefly about Ekadasi. There's one Ekadasi called the Pandav Nirijal Ekadasi. It's also known as Bhim Ekadasi. And it's the Ekadasi that if you fail to do any other Ekadasi in the year, try to do this one. And even Bhim, who couldn't live without eating because he had a very special fire in his stomach, not like our fire in our stomach. He had a special fire, so he had to eat in order to get his strength. But he fasted from food and water on this day, Ekadasi. Fasting from all food and water from sunrise on Ekadasi to the sunrise on Dwadasi. So it's like a 24-hour fast, but generally it's a 36-hour fast because we wouldn't eat after we sleep the night before Ekadasi. And if you do that Ekadasi, it's as if you've done all the 24 Ekadasis or 26 Ekadasis in the year. And then we have Raksha Bantam and Balaram Purnima, which is where we're going to stop. Again, Raksha Bantam celebrates the bond between brother and sister. Sister ties a rakhi to the wrist of the brother, and the brother vows to protect the sister. And Balaram Purnima, it's on the same day, is the appearance of Lord Balaram, the first expansion from the Lord. So again, his appearance at noon, and we would fast until noon and feast after that. And try to glorify Lord Balaram as much as possible. So those are festivals, lots of festivals. There's lots that we haven't covered. Like there's the month of Damodar, the month of Purushottam,
Rath
Yatra, so many. I mean, there's a festival almost every week, isn't it?
Mm.
Practically have a festival every day, if we wanted to.
Yeah, because it said every day is a festival, and every dance, every skip is a dance. In the spiritual world. Every step is a
dance. Every word is a song.
Mm.
Okay. Any questions, please, or comments? Ishwari, yes, go for it.
We have 14 questions.
Wow. Okay, if anybody else has any questions, put your hand up. Otherwise, we're just going to go with Kishori Ishwari. But if anybody else would like to ask anything or say anything, please do raise your hand. And we have a quiz today. Pari has very kindly put together. So go for it.
Why do we sometimes celebrate when people leave the earth? Like I'm sure there's like an Ekadasi or a celebration when Prabhupada passed away at some time during the year. So why do we celebrate that?
Very good question. It's very unusual, isn't it? I can understand celebrating when somebody comes to this world, appears to this world, but celebrating when they leave the world. Why? Because they've gone back to Krishna. That's why. They've gone back to the Supreme Lord, back to the spiritual world. So we celebrate. Yes, we're going to miss them. Of course, Prabhupada, he's probably the most missed person in the world. But what to do? At least he's gone back to a spiritual world. So we celebrate for that purpose. And also to remember that person in his life and get his blessings, because he's in the spiritual world. And from there, he knows what's happening. So he can bless us. That's the reason we celebrate.
Why do we celebrate Lord Krishna's avatar's birthdays, even though he doesn't age?
Again, it's just, you're right in the sense that, in fact, every day is a celebration. There shouldn't be a day. Every time we wake up, every time we rise from our bed, it's actually a moment of celebration, because it could be our last day. So we should have this joyful mood on us all the time. It's every day is a festival. Now, why do we celebrate? Because he's ageless. Yes, of course. He's unborn. He's known as Acha. But when he comes to this world, it's another cause for celebration, another cause to remember him and glorify him. And that's what we make use of those festivals for, to intensify, to rededicate ourselves again. Because we may have sort of gone off the path a little bit, and then, oh, look, it's Janmashtami coming. Let me take another vow that I will try to read, about Krishna every single day, at least for half an hour. So like that, these appearance days are there to inspire us to do more in spiritual life.
I see. If we celebrate Radhastami, do we celebrate Sita Mata's birthday?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
That's right. And that will be very soon, in the next week or so.
2 weeks time.
Is Sita Devi's birthday. Absolutely.
Again, she's born on Navami as well. And again, we devotees fast, glorify her, and then feast after. She's born at midday. So again, celebrate it just like Radhashmi.
Try and find it. Oh, here it is. So she appears on 10th of May.
Oh, it's exactly a month after.
Yeah, 10th of May.
Ram Navami.
Okay, thank you. Does Radharani have markings on her feet?
Yes. Yes.
Are they the same markings as Lord Krishna's?
No. Even Radha and Krishna have different, depending on what is appropriate for them. Like Radharani won't have the disc, she doesn't carry the chakra. But she'll have other things that Krishna doesn't have. So between them, they'll cover a lot of things.
I see. In a Ramayana I have read, Sita Ma got very upset to prove she was pure in front of all the people. And then she asked Mother Earth to come and take her in the earth. Why was she so upset?
This is quite a long subject matter, and I think we'll take it into a separate discussion, separate session. Maybe we can have a session on the pastimes of the Lord, which are controversial, if you like. This is one of the controversial aspects, but it's not really controversial. But because it seems like she was treated so badly, why was that the case? Why was she so upset? But I would tell you one thing very briefly, that when the Sita Ram came, they came as human beings. They incarnated as human beings. So Ram never showed his supreme nature, nor did Sita. They came as ordinary human beings. So when Sita was kidnapped, Ram lamented. He cried. He couldn't walk. He couldn't talk. He couldn't do anything. Now, this is the Supreme Lord you're talking about. Why did he do that? Because he came as a human being. He showed us that as human beings, we are going to go through a lot of suffering in our lives. And he himself showed that by his example. So Sita Mata, again, would have showed by her example the difficulties that ladies face in this world.
I see. I think
before we
Akarsha has
carry
a
on,
question.
let me, yes, exactly. Thank you. You're so sensitive. Very good. Akarsha.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So I wanted to ask, why do we face the east when we pray or do yoga? Is it because the sun rises in the east?
Yeah, it's to do with Vastu.
Okay.
There's a whole science of Vastu. Even when you're building a building, you have to do it according to these rules of Vastu. And if you do it right, and you're facing in the right way, the temple has to be in the northeast, for example. The kitchen has to be in a certain place. The toilet has to be in a certain place. The bedroom has to be. If you get it right, then
it's supposed
it
to be
helps.
Auspiciousness.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it creates aspects, and you would have difficulties otherwise in your life.
And it helps with meditation. It just gives you more peaceful situation.
Yeah.
It just creates positivity as well. Otherwise, it will create negativity in your mind as well.
Makes sense.
Good question. Anybody else? Anything else? Ashwin Bhai, anything you'd like to share?
Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna.
All right.
Yes.
I had 3 questions. I think now I'm going to follow. Is it Ishwari?
Ishwari and Kishori. Yeah.
We can come up with 14 questions. I can.
Nobody can beat them. Yeah.
One is all the Bhagwans tend to get born at midday, midnight, afternoon. We don't get born like that as humans. I was just curious, is it convenience that their birth is then kind of given at midnight, midday, whatever?
See, you're right in the sense that actually when Krishna was born, not necessarily it was midnight, it was middle of the night. But we've taken it as midnight for ease. So in the same way, I mean, they control when they come. It's not that they're pushed out of the womb, by force. When the doctor says, hey, get out. They choose when they come. So it may well be that they appropriately come at midday or midnight or sunrise or moonrise. But in the case of Krishna, I know that there's no such concept in Vedic philosophy about midnight. It doesn't exist. Yeah. There's nothing like midnight. It's the middle of the night. That's different. So it may not be exactly midnight, but we take it as midnight because it just becomes more consistent when we celebrate.
Makes sense. Yeah, makes sense. The second one is Ganesh Chaturthi, we have Ganesh Bhagwan's Murti in the mandir for, is it 8, 9, 10 days, something like that? And then we have Ganesh Chaturthi and we submerge the Murti, beautiful Murti, in running water. Now, I'm hard-pressed to understand why we submerge.
Me too. Me too. It's because the worship is not easy. If we have a Murti, we have to honor, especially in the temple, we have to treat that Murti as the Supreme Lord, because that is the Supreme Lord. And there are rules and regulations, what we are meant to do in terms of the worship of the deity. So because that is so difficult, how to worship the deity, they worship for these 10 days and then gone. The deity is submerged into the ocean.
I think it also signifies that he takes away all your any obstacles when you submerge. So he takes all that away with him.
Yeah, I had difficulty explaining to the bystanders who were watching such a beautiful statue, and he said, "Why are you submerging it in the water?" So yeah, I think that's still pending to understand better.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I understood. Because I struggled with it for a long time, and I remember asking my spiritual master, and he said, the worship of the deity, if you do it wrong, you're going to make offenses. So in order to stop the offensive behavior going forward, he's placed in the ocean. He didn't agree with that either, that once you have a deity, you worship the deity. You can't make a deity for 10 days and then, because you can't handle the worship, you submerge him in the ocean. Yeah. So this is not a tradition that I would follow personally.
Okay, and in terms of number of festivals, more the merrier. I'll tell you why. 2 reasons. In a practical sense, running a mandir, the only source of income tends to be during the festivals.
Okay.
Okay, so it is a good time for the committee to hopefully raise some funds. But more importantly, it is so nice to see so many people coming to the mandir.
Yeah.
And it's kind of party time. And I tend to believe and think that Hindus are people of party. They love festivals, they like colors, they like to dress up well. And I think that is a strength.
It is.
That we as Hindus have. So it's wonderful.
And it's all done without drink, all done without meat, fish, and eggs.
Correct.
But we have one heck of a ball.
Absolutely. That's me. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you for sharing all that. That's very important. I mean, the main purpose of festivals is a spiritual angle, that we want to get close to this personality. And by celebrating his day or her day, we're seeking their blessings to bring us close to them. That's it's the internal purpose of the festivals, to bring us closer to the sweetness of the Lord and his devotees.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
No, thank you. So I tell you what, Pari, you might as well put the quiz details on the chat. And whilst everybody is joining, we can take more questions from Ishwari and Ishwari.
Okay, Prabhuji. Also, if once everyone else's questions are done, I have a question as well.
Go for it. Go and ask now.
Oh, okay. So in regards to Ekadasi, there are obviously things that we can consume, like in any fast. I think in any Hindu fast, there are certain things that we can consume. And recently, Ramadan has started, and obviously their fasts, no food, no water, nothing like that. And I remember this one person like saying to me in school, they were like, "Oh, like you're Hindu, right? You guys can still consume like some things when you fast, but for us it's so much harder." But obviously, like in my mind, I was thinking like you don't have to make yourself suffer to remind you that you are following or you're worshiping the Lord. And like I didn't know how to convey it, but also I thought that conveying it was a waste of time. So I just I don't think there's a reason to me like to make people understand if they don't want to understand. But like I even told my mom about it, and she was like, yeah, like you don't have to starve yourself just to show that you are serious about your religion or you are worshiping the Lord.
That's right. And I think you're right. Sometimes people come up with nonsensical sort of, arguments, and I think your attitude was right. You're absolutely right. And then just move on to something else. But having said that, Ekadasi is a day where, if possible, one should fast without water or any food for at least about 36 hours. And you'll see when you go through the lecture how it's very beneficial, not just from a spiritual point of view, but from a material point of view as well, the body. So it is actually very important to fast. And we tend to become a little lazy because we like to eat. You know, our food is so phenomenal. You know, the thought of not eating for a day and a half is too much for many people. But actually, it is important to fast, if possible, if one can fast.
We also have months like the Kartik month or the that Damodar month or Purushottam month when people actually fast. They eat maybe just once a day. And so, you know, it's not just Ramadan. We also have those months, but we don't then publicize them as they do. So that's why they're not aware. Or we are not aware of all these different fasting months as well.
There's a Chaturmas here, 4 months.
Yeah.
You know, some devotees eat once a day for 4 months. I mean, how do you do that? It's not easy. So,
you know, the Bhishma Panchak, when you only have the last 5 days, you only have cow products, you know, nothing else.
And that includes.
Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember that one actually.
So
I didn't do it, but I remember someone telling me about it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. So, is everybody on? You can share your screen, by the way.
Yes, Prabhuji.
You just. And while you were waiting, if Ishwari Kishore, are you able to ask while we're waiting?
Sure, Prabhuji.
Go for it.
What happened to Hanuman Dada after Lord Rama passed away?
He's still present. He was told by the Lord, you have to stay after I go. He was very disappointed. But he said, Ram said to Hanuman, don't worry. As long as Ram's name, well, as long as my name is chanted, you can stay in this world and you can bless the people who are chanting my name. So is that right?
Yeah. And actually, I was reading yesterday that we shouldn't say Jayanti because Jayanti is usually used for people who are not around in this world, who passed away.
Okay.
So we should, I think they use some other word for it, but again, because it's still living, it shouldn't we shouldn't say Hanuman Jayanti. I think it's Hanuman Abirbhav Day.
There you go. Janmotsav.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you, Kishore. I like it.
Or Abirbhav is the Sanskrit word.
Yes, go for it. Oh, is everybody joined or is anybody missing?
There's around 9 people and 21 people on the call, so I think some may.
Quite a few are not. We'll still give a minute or two for people to join. Huh? Please join. And the code is 202-327. And it's quiz.com. Anybody? Yes, Ishwari.
Why is Indra like the only demigod to like appear arrogant?
He does, doesn't he?
Like in the way like they describe him in like the books and stuff. He seems quite arrogant in the way he talks and like the way he acts.
That's because he's the king of heaven and he is always wary of other people usurping his position. That is the reason why he is as he is. It's fear mainly.
He's probably not always like that. But yeah, he does get a hard time through the scriptures as well. He does these things. Go on, sorry, go on.
Why do you walk around Govardhana Hill barefoot? Like, is there like a special reason?
Yeah, it's remembering the Lord, isn't it? And
because Govardhana is another form of Krishna, so you don't want to step with footwear on it. So usually, like even in the temple, you're walking barefoot around Tulsi Devi or even the deities. So usually, it's a mark of respect And you get more, and also because Krishna has also walked around there, you're walking in his footsteps, so you're getting, you know, connected more.
I see. Is
So
there a
the
reason?
Vrindavan Parikram also you walk barefoot because Krishna has been walking around Vrindavan. So again, you get that connection with him.
I see.
How many more people? Anybody else left to join? Anybody struggling to join? Okay, let's take one more question and we go to the quiz.
Is there a reason why Tulsi Ma and Lord Shaligram's deities have no arms and legs, like how Lord Jagannath has a reason?
Good question. No, no external purpose, reason for that. With Jagannath, there's an external reason and there's an internal reason. Here,
because Tulsi Devi appeared as a plant, that's why there's no hands or legs.
Yeah, and she cursed.
And Shaligram appears as a stone. So.
She cursed Vishnu to be a stone.
Yeah, those are the only reason, I think.
But the stones have special markings, depending on, then it depends on, according to the marking, they represent certain personalities within the spiritual world. Very good question. Excellent question. Okay, let's go to the quiz. So, Pari, over to you.
So this is about temple etiquette. And okay. The ways we must approach the temple are: go with the full heart of desires, go with the heart of devotion, discuss politics and gossip, feel fortunate to be in a temple, or focus and appreciate the Lord's beauty. There are multiple answers to this one question. So the majority ones were correct, which were the second and fourth and fifth one. At the gateway of the temple, we pray with our hands above our head. Is that true or false? Five seconds. Majority were correct. It was a true question. Shoes must be taken off before entering the temple. True or false? Three people left. Okay. When the bell is rung, it informs the Lord of the devotee's arrival. It causes unnecessary noise. It indicates the next arati, or it welcomes divinity and dispels evil. There are two correct answers to this one. Accept anything the priest gives you with the left hand or the right hand. Yep, right hand is correct. Majority got that one right. Priests also give prasad, which is two answers to this one. Not very nutritious, provided to the Lord first, vegetarian, or stale. The sounds of the conch and the bell represent which of the following elements? The element of ether, the air element, the earth element, or the water element? Ooh, mix up of answers. So it's actually the ether element.
Tough question. Yeah.
There's a lot of questions like that now. The incense, yak-tail, or peacock feather fans represent which element? Ether, air, earth, or water? Yeah, this one, air is the correct answer, so majority got it correct. The flower and cloth represent which element? Ether, fire, water, or earth? Yep, majority got this one correct as well. Earth is the correct answer. The ghee lamp represents which element? Water, air, fire, or mind? This one, yep, this one's fairly simple. Fire is correct. The emotional involvement in songs sung represent which element? Mind, intelligence, air, or ego? Yep, correct. Mind is the correct answer. The obeisances offered to the Lord represent which element? Intelligence, ego, ether, or mind?
Really good.
Wow. Not good enough, apparently. They're getting these right too quickly. Yep. Well done. Intelligent. Okay. The intellectual focus on the purpose of the arti represents which element? Mind, ego, earth, or intelligence? This one had the answer kind of in its question. It was intelligence. So, but well done.
Oh, that was the last question. You know the one before, the obeisances. That's the false ego. That's attacking the ego.
Yes, that was ego. My mistake. I got that wrong. I actually got confused myself. I should keep an answer sheet in front of me. That was ego. Akasha third.
Well done. Good.
And Kishori first.
Wow. Hare Krishna. Well done, Kishori.
Very bold.
Well done. And is that Kishori and Ishwari or just Kishori?
Just Ishwari. Kishori is really close though. She came fourth.
Oh, wow. Amazing. Well done. Fantastic. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Pari. That was really, really good. And we should catch up. Hare Krishna, Bakulabena, Shunbai, Hare Krishna, Ishwari, Kishori, Hare Krishna, Pari. Thank you, everybody. Maha, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Kasha.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare